It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
I do understand a lot of sellers, they don't, because they do know we are under the hustle and bustle and we are going to have multiple people interested, and they just don't want that bother, or they don't want 1,000 people through their property. But it's about working one-on-one with your agent and understanding what they want and how to do it best to them.
And that is Taylor from Queensland, and we'll catch up with her in just a moment on the Real Estate Breakfast this morning as we launch into another episode with, yes, more of your property information, connecting you to the largest real estate podcast library across Australia. That's important because there's literally nothing, if you want to find something on real estate in Australia, that isn't contained in that library of 1,300 episodes. We have got Monday out of the way. Tuesday morning, August the 12th. Prop Track a few days ago, they were talking about Queensland suburbs such as Blackstone in Ipswich. Good morning if you're listening to us from Ipswich this morning. Manly in Brisbane's east, and Hobart in Townsville. Now, those areas are ranked among the nation's fastest selling areas, underscoring fierce competition in markets where prices remain comparatively attainable and supply is limited. The unit market, now that is also moving quickly, particularly in Townsville, Brisbane and Adelaide's inner south. Median values in the fastest selling unit suburbs, that does range. Boy, what a range this is. 341k in Hobart, right up to 861,000 in Manly, which really does highlight the lower entry prices in the climate of stretched affordability in 2025. Let's catch up again with Taylar-Lee Bamborough. She is from Page and Pearce Real Estate in Townsville. This is an area that we have highlighted before. And good morning to you, Taylor. Welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast. Nice to have you on. We were talking about just how competitive real estate is off air, and you were telling me you're into volleyball. Now, that's another competitive area, just to have that outlet, I guess, of being competitive.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having me. Yeah, absolutely. I just found, obviously, to be in this industry, you have to have some sort of competitive streak embedded in you. And I don't just carry that internally, I also carry it externally at work. And I personally found that's the only sport or activity that I could take on to channel that, basically the competitiveness.
Boy, the rough and tumble of volleyball with the girls on the court, it's very contact, isn't it?
It is. I say at the end of the day, real estate's a non-contact sport. So finding something that's contact just gets all of those frustrating deals out of the way. The other players don't need to know about it.
That is brilliant. There you go. So if you're in real estate and you're feeling a little bit frustrated and you don't have an outlet, take up a sport. Volleyball is working for you, Taylor. Now, I want to talk about Townsville. We've covered Townsville before this year. Double-digit price growth in many suburbs, strong rental yields, major infrastructure projects too, like this $597 million hospital expansion and this $1.6 billion port redevelopment. Now, this is fueling, isn't it? Plenty of growth and lots of inquiries.
Oh, absolutely. And it's also bringing a lot of people to Townsville because at the moment, in a way, the best way to explain it, it's still affordable because we can foresee the change coming. And if it's going to follow like Brisbane and the rest of Australia, it's going to get tough. So with the money they're pouring into Townsville, people are trying to get embedded now.
Yeah, that is true. And I just want to circle back to Hobart with this report from Prop Track. Now, that range I mentioned from 341 grand in Hobart to 861 in Manly, that lower entry point, boy, all the eyes are on Hobart for that very reason.
Correct, because in a way that just shows you where we're going, but it shows you where we're at the moment. And we are finding a lot more people, and that price will rise because a lot more people can afford units over the house prices these days.
Can you run through the median house price both on the units there in Townsville as well as the houses?
The units were averaging between the 300 to 400,000 on units, whereas houses have gone that bit more expensive. They've gone about 550,000 to around that 700,000. It is quite a wide range. However, because we have got a lot of buyers around and that competition, it's very hard to pinpoint that median one because it's just increasing.
Now, some people will say Townsville very sleepy, but it ain't that sleepy these days. I see that there's over 200,000 people that are now there in Townsville.
Honestly, I have not slept for the last 2 years, so it's not sleepy.
And I want to get on to the subject of why selling off-market could cost you thousands of dollars. Now, we've all seen people, especially on social media, different agencies, different companies saying, hey, look, I've got this off-market property and, it's a good one, blah, blah, blah. But selling your property off-market means basically you are skipping public listings and advertising. And I've said it in the past, it is in the name. Off-market is not mass market.
That is correct. And I have a saying, off market is under market. And the reason I say that, the buyers set the market. And if you're not willing to get your property out there, you're going to be selling under that market value. And the reason being, you send a property live, you're hitting hundreds of thousands of people. Whereas if you're working one-on-one with an agent to do off market, you're anywhere between one buyer and maybe 6 buyers. So you're limiting that buyer competition, the buyer interest. And we've got a lot of Southerners wanting to move up here. So we're finding if you're reaching out to a couple of investors or a couple of locals, you've just cut your buyer pool by about 96%.
Now, how frustrating is that? Because you talk about the lower sale price, a smaller audience means fewer higher offers. That is the key. And on the open market, multiple interested buyers are more likely, to push the price higher. Hence, you're not going to be missing out on the best possible price.
Correct. And we're also finding as agents, someone in that same suburb, when we're going to do an appraisal on their property and we see one that sold 2 doors down for such a low price, the first thing we do is go, yep, off market, because that's not its true value. So you can't even include that as a comparable because it's not fair to the seller.
We are more than just a real estate podcast. We cover a multitude of subjects, including property data, current buyer-seller sentiment, and the mood of the market. Follow each week all of the main talking points and know your property.
Good morning, Louise. Welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast.
Morning, Craig. Thank you for having me back.
It's a really good point that you're making, because if you don't have a mortgage, for example, you don't have this huge financial noose around your neck. What you're saying is very relevant. You can take less work, spend less time working because you don't have all of that pressure. Is that fair to say?
I think you're right on the money, Craig. I think that's one of the main benefits for me, that I could never service a mortgage on a freelance writer's income, and it would have just stressed me out trying to do that. I think, I'm probably paying maybe a third of the rent I'm paying for the land where I park my tiny house, a third of the rent that I would be paying if I was renting even a studio apartment. In the northern New South Wales, rents here are really crazy. Some of them are comparable to capital cities now, and even a room in a share house, I saw one advertised the other day. It was like $400 for just a room in a house, which is crazy a week. So, so without a mortgage, you're definitely freer, and also you have less rent. So that really does free you up a lot.
Listen to expert perspectives with exclusive real estate conversations and supercharge your knowledge base with us.
So what do you say to vendors that hear this term off market when somebody says, I want to list your property off market? What's the information piece that you would advise, because vendors are listening right now to the podcast, what would you advise these people to do when they hear those words? I want to take your property to off market.
I just say to them, would you like me to bring you one offer that you may be okay with, or would you like me to bring you multiple offers where you get to choose where your house sits value-wise?
I just don't understand why somebody is actually skipping, completely forgetting about the marketing in all of this. Mass marketing is definitely the way to go. Going off market might be private, but it's really profitable. And I've seen that quote many, many times. The open market gives your property the audience and the price that it deserves, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I do understand a lot of sellers, they don't, because they do know we are under the hustle and bustle and we are going to have multiple people interested, and they just don't want that bother, or they don't want 1,000 people through their property. But it's about working one-on-one with your agent and understanding what they want and how to do it best to them. It doesn't need to have 1,000 people through your property. We just need to bring them 1,000 offers.
Yeah, 1,000 offers would be nice. As I mentioned, the strong rental yields, low vacancy rates, that is the attraction factor. I didn't mention too, the Australian Defence Force, they've got that expansion with 500 new troops too that are moving into the area. There is very much a lot going on. There's a lot of chasing on properties at the moment in Townsville, and the buyers' agents are helping fuel that.
Oh, absolutely. We are finding that our prices have increased remarkably over the last year and a half. So the buyers' agents aren't finding that the yield is as strong, because we are getting a brilliant return on rentals, but also we are getting a great sale price for our sellers. So our locals are actually giving a chance of buying themselves. A lot of the army personnel are definitely buying. We are seeing a very vast mix of buyers at the moment.
Yeah, it's all in the mix, isn't it? All right, well, great to catch up with you all. By the way, what sort of music are you into up there in Townsville at the moment?
I'm very big on, everyone would know him at the moment, Jelly Roll. Very good, very, very good. Celine Dion, believe it or not. Yeah, I do like a bit of your old school punk rock of Blink-182, etc. So yeah, very vast mix again, depending on how you're feeling on the day.
When you say Blink as punk rock, I sort of go all the way back to The Clash, some true punk rock.
Yes, that's true. That is true, definitely.
Well, enjoy your Tuesday up there in Townsville. Great to hear what has been going on, particularly in your neck of the woods, and the way in which those units have really fueled a lot of interest. And thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Unlock the secrets of real estate and stay informed about the latest real estate buzz with hot market trends, emerging suburbs, and hidden gems.
Last year, just explain to those people that are thinking of entering the real estate industry how you might want to line up the new job for September rather than now, because it'll make things a lot easier to work in.
Yeah, look, there's no denying there is that summer slowdown that sort of starts from July onwards. It doesn't mean there's no business out there, so you can definitely start working in that time. And look, you'll have your pick of the clients because everybody's on holiday. For me personally, last year, I had started at a new office in August. I needed some sort of time when it wasn't too busy to get used to the new systems. Definitely take advantage of being able to get out of Dubai when it is 52 degrees out there if you can.
That's right. So some of the regions in Brisbane that are going to potentially see the most benefit from a rate reduction include Brisbane's popular inner north, which has a median house value of 1.6 million. I think what is important for us, though, is understanding which markets are going to be most sensitive. So it's also the relativity of the analysis that is hopefully helpful for buyers and sellers as well.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.